So I'm Amanda Raposo. I'm a diabetes educator and dietitian for Southcoast Health Diabetes Management Program. And so today we will talk about, some basics about diabetes and about dietary effects of diabetes. So there are different types of diabetes. There's type 1 diabetes and type 2, but they all result in high blood sugars. That's really the key there. And so it comes down to carbohydrate digestion. So when we have carbs, whether it's fruit or bread, rice, pasta, candy, soda, doesn't matter. If you lay your neck down, it turns into sugars, blood sugars. So when that happens and your blood sugars go higher, then your body responds by making insulin. And insulin's job is to escort the blood sugars out of the bloodstream to the cells to be used as energy or stored as energy if we have too much. And so with type 1 diabetes, we just don't produce the insulin at all, so therefore there's no escort and the blood sugars stay in the bloodstream and the blood sugars go higher. With type 2 diabetes, the insulin is just not working as efficiently as it did before, and therefore you end up with the higher blood sugars. So I love analogies, and the most recent one that I've started telling is about a subway car. And so if you have your subway platform, there's a lot of people on the subway platform. That's your bloodstream and your blood sugars. When you have somebody escort the people to your subway cars are your cells, and so if you have a lot of people getting onto the subway cars, more than the people who are leaving the subway cars, then the subway cars are going to get pretty filled, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of subway pushers. Sorry, it's the end of the day. So subway pushers, right? They are paid officials in Japan who push as many people into subway cars as possible before they take off. So if you have a lot of people on your platform and they have to get into the subway, insulin becomes a subway pusher. And there's going to be a certain amount of resistance, right? And that's called insulin resistance. When your cells are overfilled, they're not allowing the insulin to do its job as efficiently as before. That's type 2 diabetes. So how do we empty the subway cars? We have to either exercise more or stop filling them up with as many people, therefore decreasing the amount of carbohydrates we eat. Does that make sense? So that's a pretty good 5-minute primer of type 2 diabetes. So carbohydrates. What's one example of carbohydrates I didn't say?
I'm not too good on that stuff.
All right. Do you know?
Food or
A type of food that is mostly carbohydrates.
chips,
Mm-hmm.
potatoes,
Absolutely. Chips and potatoes. Yeah.
bread,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All the good tasty stuff.
everything mainly about meat and cheese.
Yeah, there are definitely some foods that are very low in carbohydrates, more of the proteins and the fats, but that leaves everything else. You're right. All the sweets, bakery stuff. Any other thoughts? No?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I was going to say all the floured products.
Yep.
Everything that made with flour.
Absolutely. So the thing that surprises people is how carb dense certain foods can be. So at the Diabetes Management Program, we talk about carb counting, and we have certain serving sizes that equal 15 grams of carbs. You know, if you have a cup of berries, about the size of your fist, that cup of berries, because they're low in sugar, would be about 15 grams of carbs. But if we're talking about pasta or rice, that same cup, because they're so carb dense, is about 45 grams of carbs. And that is honestly the max I would suggest for a meal for most people. So, some people say, is it worth it? I don't know. But anyway, there's a lot of hidden carbs. We don't realize how much is in certain things. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of ways that you can find out how many carbs are in things. Any restaurant chain restaurant has to have the nutritional information online. You can Google the nutritional information for a lot of food products, and you just type in, granola bar nutrition facts, and it will come up with a bunch of web pages that will tell you how many carbs are in something. You have to keep in mind the serving size, because if it says half a muffin and you eat the whole thing, well, now all the carbs are going to double. So that's important to keep in mind. But something like this, the Calorie King, can be really helpful for carb counting. And this is a nice purse-friendly book. Maybe not, for the gentleman here, but it can be an easy book to take along. And it has all kinds of different foods, whether it's cakes and pastries, granola bars, ready-made meals, ramen kind of stuff, canned soups. Then they have fast foods and restaurants back here. So it can be very helpful to kind of recognize how many carbs are in things. Anybody been to Dunkin' Donuts? Anybody have their muffins? How many do you think are in there in one of those muffins?
Carbohydrates? Probably like 90.
No,
Probably like 90.
You are very close. Yep.
I thought it was a couple hundred. I thought we said it.
Oh no. Well,
Huh?
it's if you're talking about the chocolate chip muffin, it's 92. Some people will go for the reduced fat blueberry, thinking that it's better. It's 82. Not a big difference. The bagels are also pretty high at like 66 for most bagels. So that can be kind of surprising. But the breakfast sandwiches, if you were to have, say, ham, egg, and cheese on an English muffin, that's like 33. So that would actually be a better choice over there, more reasonable with the amount of carbs. Other places that things are hidden can sometimes be medication, actually. Like if you're looking at NyQuil, the liquid NyQuil, how they say a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down? Well, there's actually 19 grams of carbs in that one little cup.
A lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar, yeah. So it pays to do a little research. It pays to know a little bit about the amount of carbs that are in certain foods, and you'd be surprised. Who likes Chinese food?
Yeah, what's a nice good old chow mein
I know, that's full of
sandwich. Yeah.
That's full of salt.
A lot of salt, probably.
Yeah.
3 grams of carbs is 1 gram of sugar, right?
4.
Four?
So 4 grams of carbs equals 1 teaspoon of sugar. Yep. So actually, if we're talking about, I should have brought that as a little demonstration, but if we're talking about a can of soda, has 40 grams of carbs in 1 can of soda. So if you take that 40, divide it by 4, you got 10 teaspoons of sugar. Go home and measure out 10 teaspoons of sugar, and you'll be surprised because it doesn't taste like it's that sweet, but it definitely
It
has.
does if you don't drink a lot of sugar.
That's true. That's true.
It's like coffee. I know, I did that years ago. I started first when we were working, we were going to have coffee. And so we always have coffee with sugar. I stopped doing it, and then one day, for some reason, when I said I bought a cup of coffee and I go for sugar, I couldn't drink it. It tasted awful. There's too much sugar in it. It's so crazy. It's just, you get away from it and then you don't even miss it.
Yeah.
True.
I'd have to say if there was one thing that is really important for controlling blood sugars and making sure that you can prevent the risk of type 2 diabetes, it would be to not drink your sugar. Absolutely. And so, obviously people think about soda first, but then there's also juice. And juice is advertised as being really healthy, a good way to start the day. But if you had a 12-ounce glass of juice versus a 12-ounce glass of soda, they'd have exactly the same amount of sugar. So you don't want to be drinking the sugar because there's nothing to slow it down. There's nothing really to digest. like if you had an orange, you have to chew that orange, right?
Get the pulp in it.
And although, you know, the juice with the pulp, yeah, it's not exactly the same as chewing up an orange. So, but yeah, that fiber slows down the digestion of that sugar that's in the orange. Plus, who's actually squeezed an orange and gotten the juice? Yeah?
Yeah,
How much do you get?
not much.
Yeah, like this much, right?
Well, you have to squeeze a lot of oranges. My mother used to do that when I was a kid. I
Yes.
haven't done it in a long time, but
So if you're having a glass this big, how many oranges do you
A
think
lot.
you're actually having?
I never had it that high.
Good.
Just
Good.
a small cup like that. It was probably about 8 oranges.
Probably, yeah.
But 8 oranges. So
Yeah.
you had to really, I mean, then you, I guess you could use the rest of the orange. She did, I think. She'd eat it, you know.
Yep.
But as far as squeezing it out now, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a little glass like that. About a crushed smash.
Yeah.
I call it smash, but you use that little glass thing, you squeeze it. It's something for the kids to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That was to keep you busy while she was making breakfast.
That's true.
No, we did it. We used to do it at nighttime too. At times, yeah. And in the morning, you keep it refrigerated. It was. I'll tell you, it tastes different than if you go get regular orange juice. I don't know because it's the pure pop compared to when it's pasteurized. It's not pasteurized.
It's been processed somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Processed,
They, you know, yeah. Because they have to make it relatively shelf stable, even if it is refrigerated.
Yeah.
Because they want it to last long enough for people to buy it.
Right.
That's kind of how orange juice got started.
Oh yeah.
Because they had such a crop of oranges, they had to do something with it, so they juiced it and sold it that way and then advertised it.
Okay.
So if you think about that 8 oranges that it took to make that glass of orange juice, what do you think would happen to your blood sugar if you ate all those 8 oranges in one sitting?
Well, go up. Yeah.
Yeah,
They go.
yep. And that applies not just to orange juice, but to grape juice, apple juice, cranberry juice, you know, guava juice. All of those are going to, I mean, fruit is nature's candy. So if you just is, it's just going to raise those blood sugars.
All fruit, I guess, has sugar in it. Yeah.
Some are a little bit more, have a little bit more sugar than others. Berries are relatively lower in carbohydrates. So that's why you can have a whole fist size or a cup of berries for 15 grams of carbs, whereas half a banana would be 15. So the whole thing would be 30, which is kind of surprising to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now let's think about how we start our day with breakfast, right? We have cereal with milk and maybe some fruit on it. That's carbohydrates with carbohydrates with carbohydrates, right? We start our day with a lot of sugar and then some orange juice on the side, right? So we gotta break that up if we want to control our blood sugars, and we want to add in some more proteins and fats in order to control it better. But definitely the carb portions have to be smaller. What do you guys have for questions or comments about diabetes? And we don't have any.
Diabetes.
I'm a type 2 diabetic. I've been about 20 years, about 25 years now. So, and I just have a hard time with carbs and sugar.
Me too.
Yeah, just
Yeah. It's hard.
yeah.
I'm a diabetic too, and it's not easy. It's not an easy trip. It takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff that tastes good is bad for you. That's about what it breaks down to be.
Yeah.
I'm definitely addicted to sugar. So
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it.
Yep,
I
that's
want it
definitely
all
a
the time.
thing.
Always looking for a piece of candy or something.
Well, the trick is to fill up on the other stuff, like your proteins and fats, like the meat and cheese, like your eggs, olive oil. I mean, obviously you're not going to just sit there and snack on olive oil, but like nuts and including some some butter, including avocados, you know, fill up on the proteins and fats. And then if you're not hungry, then that'll be a lot easier to deal with cravings. But if, of course, if you're hungry, it's like, shove it in my face right now, right?
Well, I had bariatric surgery too, and so it's, I don't eat a lot now, but I kind of like cow in the pasture. I'm, you know, all day long I'm just,
Yeah. Gotta stay away from the grazing.
yeah.
If you think about it, we gotta eat our meal, and then we gotta give ourselves time to digest that meal, right? And if we're picking all day long, our body doesn't really have a chance to digest what it just had. And so instead of finding a home for it in a subway, right? It's creating fat cells, you know? It's creating more subway.
That's tough one, because I looked at a guy and he was like this. I'm telling you, he was maybe 140 pounds. He never used to eat, sit down and eat. He'd just eat all day. But he didn't eat a lot of, let's say, fat foods. I call it, you know, like donuts. I don't think you ever saw me eat a donut. You know, but he had
But
like,
he was eating a lot, but he was watching what he was eating.
he'd have a small sandwich. You know, I mean, it looked like, only these little sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way he ate.
Well, that worked for him.
Yeah.
And
He just ate little.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, I don't.
But if somebody's coming to me with diabetes, it's broke. We gotta fix it. We gotta change whatever they were doing before. And typically, you know, a lot of people, if they are eating all day long, usually it's because they're hungry. We gotta fix the hunger first.
Yeah.
And we gotta keep the carbs under control. You know,
I don't eat all day long. I have a protein shake in the morning, and this morning I did have some little, what do you call them, burritos or something from McDonald's. A little thing, but one of them, I'm bloated, you know, and I'm good for the whole day. At night, you know, I can't eat no more during the day. I don't eat regular meals. I won't have breakfast, but as soon as I finish whatever I'm doing for the day, that's it. I'm just grazing all night. You know?
interesting.
My problem is fruit.
Fruit?
I eat a lot of fruit. I do. I mean, I know I eat too much.
And you think it's
Yeah, I
healthy.
even told my doctor that, you know, but I can tell you right now, I eat like 5 fruit easy in a day.
Yeah.
He said it's way too much.
Yeah.
But I love it, so, you know, it's hard to, I mean, I don't care what kind of food it is, I'll eat it.
For the longest time, fruit has been put into the category with vegetables. You know, vegetables are really lower in carbohydrates, unless it's the starchy vegetables. But the non-starchy vegetables, you know, broccoli and asparagus and green beans and all that stuff, those are much lower in carbohydrates. I would consider those free. You know,
Yeah.
fruits are not free,
No,
and we gotta, you know, if you're really watching how much you're having at one time, you gotta keep that in mind, that they're not free and they do contain carbohydrates. Sometimes more than we expect. Whether it's fruit or it's milk, bread, any other kind of starches, your sweets obviously. You know, we have to watch how much we're having at one time. We don't want to overwhelm the, overwhelm those subway cars, right? And then, you know, there's also exercise, and that's also important. So we gotta expend some energy in order to empty out those subway cars and make some room, right? And so that's what you guys are here for the Fall River Fitness Challenge, right? So we're gonna work out and burn some calories and don't justify having a cookie later.
yeah. That's the part too, at nighttime. You know, eat at night.
Junk food, chips and
Anything.
stuff.
So what would be a good salty, crunchy kind of alternative for chips that is lower in carbohydrates?
Well, we did some of that stuff last year, you know, and I did the pepperonis and
Yeah.
I got all the stuff And my wife just, you know, she'll come home with a bunch of this stuff, so that's what's around. You know, I see it hanging around, and I told her too, you know, many times, you know, please don't, you can have it if you want it, but just put it somewhere where I can't see it, because
Yes.
it's like calling,
Yep.
Yeah.
calling my name, hey.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
in front of you,
Yeah.
that's
And,
It's like
you
a
know,
book.
I
It's
can't
like a
blame
book.
her, you know, because sometimes I'll say, hey, you got any chips, you know, but she gets it anyway, so.
Yeah.
And not just chips, there's a lot of junk food. We have this lady that's living with us, she has a hard time, and it's my wife's friend, and she's taking care of her. We've been taking care of kids for 33 years with foster parents, so had over 1,300 kids. So my wife's a caretaker, you know.
Yeah.
That's what she does. It's just normal for her. But now this other lady, she likes donuts and cakes and lemon cakes and this kind of cake and that. So it's always all over the place, you know, all over the table, all over the counter. There's cookies, there's Portuguese donut kind of things and biscuits. And,
Yeah.
it's a hard fight, but you know, I'm trying to figure out how I can do it by myself without having to have that around, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard because I lost 100 pounds with the bariatric surgery. But you know, I'm starting to put some of them pounds back on too, and I'm not happy with it at all.
Yeah.
And I go to the boys club. I do a lot of exercise, but still not enough.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have a protein shake in the morning and one at night before I go to bed. That's what they told me I have to have.
Yep.
And then, but have 3 meals during the day. But I don't have them 3 meals. You know, most of the time I don't have any. I'll have something around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you know, so shake 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then at night I start eating then the protein shake to go to bed.
So, I mean, what you're going through is what a lot of people go through is, you know, if they're trying to improve their health by eating healthy and maybe not the whole family is on board, that can be a real struggle. And so that's something where I encourage my patients, one, you know, bring their family with them, you know, if
I
the,
try.
yeah.
Try to get her to come all the time she wants.
Yeah, it's hard. Two, you know, have a conversation with her about how she can be supportive even if she does have the things in the house. I mean, if she's the one who is doing the food shopping, she is kind of the gatekeeper, and she's letting the stuff come in because of that other lady. So, and a lot of people will say, well, I have kids and I need to have this stuff around for my kids. They don't need it either. But, you know,
That's what it is.
but, you know, maybe having a section of the kitchen that will be for the junk food, but then a separate cabinet for you designated with the stuff that are easy choices that you should have around, like nuts, or like
I
you
eat
said,
nuts all the time.
having the pepperoni in the fridge, you know, different things like that to be your cupboard, your go-to thing, but having the other stuff out of sight, you know, because it is very difficult to have that resolve for, you know, so long. If you're passing by it every trip to the bathroom, you see it. Every trip over here, you see it. It can wear down on the willpower.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you know, having the family on board at least with where you store things, maybe out of sight, can be very helpful.
Well, I told her, you know, I don't care what Kathy wants. She can have as much as she wants. Put it in her room.
Right.
Put it somewhere in her room, and she can knock herself out with it. But don't leave it where I can see it because
Yeah.
it keeps calling me.
Yeah, that's a really tough struggle that a lot of people deal with. You're not alone. Anybody else have ideas about how to deal with that?
No, that's what he said. Hide it.
Yeah.
Hide
Yeah.
it.
Well, it is almost time for the fitness challenge.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
I'll let you guys get to where you're going, but we'll see you again.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.